Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a really fascinating step-by-step path to transition both mentally and tactically from just hoarding cash in a bank account to actually engaging in long-term market investing. We're going to break down exactly how you can turn saving into investing without feeling totally overwhelmed and, more importantly, without risking your financial security.
We all know the feeling, right? Saving feels safe, investing feels risky, and that simple truth highlights the core psychological tension we're unraveling today. You see, the transition from saving to investing rarely fails because of a lack of math skills. Actually, it almost never fails because of the math. It fails because of human psychology. Saving feels safe because your money just sits there, completely static. Investing feels risky because it fluctuates. But today, we are going to completely rewire how you look at that risk.
So here is our system override protocol for today. We'll be looking at the saver's dilemma, the battle between math and psychology, the two-bucket strategy, how to build the investing habit, and finally, reframing market volatility.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the saver's dilemma, and the illusion of safety.
Picture this. You're doing everything right. You do the responsible thing and start saving money every month. $100 here, maybe $200 there. You're feeling incredibly disciplined. But then, you open up your banking app. You see you've got exactly $10,000 sitting in a typical savings account earning a paltry 0.5% interest. Do you know what that means? It means after an entire year of doing the quote-unquote right thing, a dismal $50 is all you're going to make. It really makes you wonder, are you doing this wrong?
And that brings us to a pretty harsh reality. Saving alone will almost never make you wealthy. Saving and investing have two completely different jobs. Savings exist simply to protect your money. Investments exist to grow your money. Recognizing that difference is absolutely crucial. It's the very first step in taking control of your financial future.
Moving right along to Section 2, Math versus Human Psychology.
Let's actually look at the math here, because the sheer scale of the difference is wild when you stretch the timeline out. Imagine you save that $10,000 in an account earning 1% interest. Over 20 years, it grows to a modest $12,200. Okay, fine. But if you invest that exact same money in the S&P 500, which has historically returned about 10% per year on average over long periods, you end up with roughly $67,000. It's the exact same starting money, but it puts you in a completely different universe of wealth.
So get this. The biggest wealth gap isn't between savers and spenders, it is between savers and investors. But people completely ignore this massive mathematical reality. Why? Because of the emotional fear and anxiety of seeing their portfolio drop 5% on a random Tuesday. We are literally terrified of the very volatility that creates the wealth in the first place.
Which brings us nicely to Section 3, the two-bucket strategy.
To bypass that fear, we need a huge psychological shift. We need to mentally separate your cash. Think of your money in two distinct buckets. Bucket 1 is your safety money. This never moves, it's for emergencies, and it gives you total peace of mind. Bucket 2 is your growth money. And here's the trick. Because you have your safety bucket secured, you can give your growth bucket the permission it needs to fluctuate. When you mentally divide your finances like this, your anxiety over the stock market drops dramatically.
I absolutely love this analogy from the source material. Saving money is like keeping a handful of seeds in a glass jar on your shelf. I mean, they're perfectly safe, nothing bad will happen to them, but they're dead. Nothing grows. Investing is taking those same seeds and planting them in the dirt. Yes, the soil is messy at first, you don't see results immediately, but over time, they grow into a towering tree that is far bigger than those original seeds.
Let's get practical with Section 4, Building the Investing Habit.
How do we actually execute this? Well, here's a 5-step blueprint. It's your safe, staged path forward. You don't just jump straight into the deep end. First, you build a real emergency fund with 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Why? Because that fund protects your investments from the unexpected emergencies of your own life, like a sudden car repair or a medical bill, so you never have to panic sell your stocks. Then you mentally separate the money, start incredibly small, maybe $50 just to build a habit, pick simple assets, and then just let time do the heavy lifting.
Now, speaking of keeping it simple, beginners often make the massive mistake of jumping straight into super complicated strategies. Day trading, options, crypto speculation. Don't do it. Instead, you should use simple tools like low-cost index funds. These just track the overall stock market, giving you instant diversification across hundreds of companies. It's a strategy that legendary investor Warren Buffett has repeatedly recommended for most people, simply because it lowers your risk, and it flat out works. Check out this wonderfully boring, yet unbelievably powerful strategy.
Consistency. If you invest just $300 a month for 25 years into the market, assuming an 8% average return, you end up with roughly $285,000. But here's the crazy part. Out of that total, you only actually contributed $90,000 out of your own pocket. A staggering $195,000 comes purely from investment growth. That is the absolute magic of compounding actively working in your favor.
Finally, let's tackle Section 5, reframing market volatility.
This is the elephant in the room, right? People always ask, what if the market crashes right after I start? Look, market crashes are entirely normal. They've happened dozens of times in history. But you need to adopt a different mindset. Long-term investors actually benefit from downturns. If you are investing consistently, every single month, a market drop is literally a sale event. Your monthly $300 is suddenly buying more shares at lower prices. When you reframe downturns this way, you completely stop panic selling and start acting like a seasoned, experienced investor.
You've really got to zoom out here, stretch your perspective. From day 1 where you are just planting those seeds, through year 5 where you might be buying at a huge discount during a scary downturn, all the way to year 25 where you finally reap the massive rewards of compounding. Real wealth is built by training yourself to think in decades, not days.
So what does this all mean for you? Saving money will certainly give you stability, for sure. It'll keep your head above water and let you sleep at night. But investing buys you freedom. Are you going to spend the rest of your life just protecting your seeds in a glass jar? Or are you finally ready to plant them in the messy soil and build something massive? The market is waiting. What's your next move?